Welcome to 10-Minute Tip Time. Today, our 10-minute tip time is how to fund your business idea. Our show is sponsored by Platinum Pivot, a consortium of experienced professionals that shares practical business content to help other professionals navigate change. I'm Helen Latimer, a career and transition coach and founder of 925 Resources, and I'm delighted that today I'm talking with Steve Willson. Steve is the COO and partner of PANOPTIKA, where he developed a practice that's based on the idea of providing customer projects to address their clients' specific needs. Thank you for joining us, Steve.
Thank you, Helen. I really appreciate the nice introduction.
Great. And I know you've been on 10-minute tip times before. Can you remind us what you spoke about in your last video?
Sure. So in my last video, we talked about the importance of validating your business idea and some of the ways to do that despite social distancing. So today, we're assuming that you've done your homework and you now have some proof that your idea solves a real problem that people have and does so better than what's currently available. So what's missing then? How to fund your business idea.
Absolutely. The question of money comes up early. So where's the best place for an entrepreneur to look when they're at this stage, Steve?
Well, ideally, the best place depends on your particular circumstances. So I mean, if you won the lottery, that's not an issue, right?
Right.
But many entrepreneurs start by bootstrapping or scraping together any personal funds that you have from your savings, credit cards, coins beneath the couch cushions. Now, this is the most risky way to do it because you're reducing your personal safety net. But if you're successful, it will eventually pay off and you won't have to give up any equity in your idea.
Oh, that makes sense, both from a risk perspective and kind of maintaining that ownership and control. But what if for somebody that's not possible? What's the next best thing?
Sure. The next one that people usually use is what we call friends and family. So that's obvious what that is, but you need to have the information that you gathered during your validation process to show them that your idea has promise, because these can sometimes be difficult conversations. But again, you may not have to give up any equity, but you may be limited in the amount of money that you can raise depending on your network.
Sure. No, that's really good advice. It's a business meeting, even if you're meeting with your friends and family. So to be prepared for that. But if that's not possible, what would be the next place that somebody should go, especially if they don't want to give up a stake in their business?
Yeah. So depending on your idea, I might suggest what are called angel investors. And angel investors are usually high net worth individuals who support entrepreneurs. And most cities have angel groups that come together and fund as a pool, so they reduce their own risk exposure within the group. The relationship is more formal than friends and family, and your business model needs to be more solid at that stage. Some groups do take equity. Some offer loans to be paid back when you get your next financing round. But the best really offer mentorship and introduction to potential customers or partners.
Wow, in some cases that could be just as valuable as the money to have that kind of oversight and support. That sounds like an amazing idea. And I have heard of angel investors. I just didn't think about them for small startups necessarily. It's really good. Thank you for sharing that. So it sounds like, there was a number of different ideas, from self-funding, going to friends and family. Are there any other situations any other options that are open to entrepreneurs?
Absolutely. And you probably see this a fair amount. Depending on the amount you're looking for, you could always try crowdfunding. And those are options such as Kickstarter or Indiegogo. Those are the two biggest platforms. They're most often used for physical products or tech ideas where you can show someone a prototype of what the product or the product you're trying to deliver is. So you can start small that way and get a few items made get more feedback before then rolling out to a wider audience. So it's often used as a way to pre-sell your product during the development phase. And actually some products have grown very large via this medium. But most it's just a way of funding that physical prototype so that then you can go on to the next level.
Well, that would be an exciting place to be for sure. So that's a lot of different situations, a lot of different resources and ideas in terms of, finding funding. Do you have any other last words of advice to guide anyone who's in that process of startup?
Sure. So ultimately, as you grow and you still need to fund your business ideas, particularly when you're looking in that really high growth phase, you can look at a couple of different options, debt or equity. Debt is just that, taking on a loan to inject funds into your operation. It can be a traditional bank loan if you have personal assets to leverage, or specialty funding organizations such as BDC or the Business Development Corporation of Canada, who bill themselves as the entrepreneur's bank. So they're a crown corporation who funds small and medium-sized businesses, especially those who are looking to grow within Canada. And when it comes to equity, then, you'd often approach a VC or venture capitalist. And there are very technical definitions when it comes to VC funding, and I'm not an expert at that, but let's just say they give you money in return for a portion of your business. So various firms specialize in certain businesses. So there are biotech VC firms, there are fintech, and so on. So it's best to get some help in trying to identify who to best approach for your idea. And then after that, it's sort of like Dragon's Den or Shark Tank. So you get an opportunity to pitch your business idea, it'll get picked apart, and then if they go ahead, you'll get an intensive vetting before you ever sign a deal.
Wow, that sounds like quite a rigorous process. It sounds like it's gone from the least complicated to the most complicated in the way you've shared it. But those are really great things to think about. And any last words to guide our listeners?
Well, for each of those things, you're going to give up something to get something. So just understand what's in it for the other person, because understanding what their expectations are, what their time horizon is for trying to get their return on their investment. Because if you're in a business and you expect to be profitable in 10 years, but you are with a venture capitalist who expects to be able to cash out in 3 or 4 years, there's a disconnect there. So that's my final words of advice.
No, and those are very good words of advice. Those kinds of misunderstandings I could see could cause an awful lot of problems, particularly if you were borrowing money from a friend or family member. So really great advice, Steve. Thank you so much for sharing those terrific ideas on how to fund your startup or how to fund your business. Thank you so much for being with us. And Steve, if people would like to contact you or would like more information about how to fund their business, how should they reach you?
Sure. So the best way is through Steve, Steve, at PANOPTIKA, PANOPTIKA.ca. And I'd be happy to field any and all inquiries for help. Thanks so much, Helen.
Oh, thank you. It's been great. And thank you for joining us here at the 10-minute tip time. And if you enjoyed what you heard, go down below our video and ring the bell. Make sure you subscribe because we're putting on new content all the time. And it was great having you join us. And thank you, Steve. I really enjoyed learning more about how I can fund my business. Thanks for coming.